If you haven't heard, it's going viral. Democratic bishop who called for former Trump to be replaced delivers a woke sermon on illegal immigrants, LGBT issues at a national prayer service. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm going to be sharing with you the video footage, the articles, commentary, and also sharing my opinions here at the end as to what unfolded. But let me know your thoughts. Was what she did okay? I'm going to share with you all of it so that way you can see it for yourself. Let me know in the comments. Was this okay what she did? If so, put yes. If no, put no. But take a look at this. We're actually seeing that Donald Trump has responded to this. It says, the so-called bishop who spoke at the National Prayer Service on Tuesday morning was a radical left hardline Trump hater. She brought her church into the world of politics in a very ungracious way. She was nasty in tone and not compelling or smart. She failed to mention a large number of illegal migrants that came into our country and have ended the lives of people. Many were deposited from jails and mental institutions. It is a giant crime wave that is taking place in the USA. Apart from her inappropriate statements, the service was very boring, an uninspiring one as well. She is not very good at her job. She and the church owe the public an apology. Trump is demanding an apology from this bishop, Bishop Budd. And like I said, let me know your thoughts. I'm going to play with you the video footage. I see all the no's coming in of people saying this was not okay. Also, I think it's very interesting. You're going to be seeing here in the video footage how she talks about the mercy, the graciousness of Jesus Christ. I saw somebody mentioning in here just a little while ago, Ingrid was saying that no scriptures was used in this prayer scripture sermon that was supposed to be mentioned, but took it as a platform to go ahead and vocalize her political opinions and reprimand Donald Trump. I've seen all the no's coming in. Somebody saying it was very cowardly what she did. Somebody saying that was a demon. Yeah. All right. Well, let me share with you the video footage, the articles, so you can see it for yourself. And before we dive in, do me a quick favor. Hit the like button if you appreciate the updates. Like I said, this is going viral, so chances are you've probably already seen it, but I wanted to share with you the latest coming out on this, as Trump now is coming out and saying that they owe the American public an apology for this display, saying it was not something that she should have done in church as a bishop, doing this politicizing. Yet there are some that say, hey, freedom of speech, that she thinks that she's representing a underrepresented minority. Let me know your thoughts. But also, just a lot of people saying, no, this was not appropriate, not the right time, and she should offer up an apology. So let me go ahead and share with you the articles, the video footage. But before we dive in, do me a quick favor. If you appreciate the updates, don't forget, take a quick second, hit that like button for me. Help spread this out further across the YouTube platform so more people can get the latest updates. Hit subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? I'll keep you up to speed on everything. Make sure you're staying subscribed. A lot of people letting me know that they've been unsubscribed from the channel for some reason. One day they're subscribed, the next day they hop on to check for an update, and they're unsubscribed. We believe it has something to do with YouTube settings, so make sure you're subscribed. And also additional resources and articles linked in the description below. I cite all of my references like a book report. They're linked with hyperlinks, so that way you can click them, see them for yourself, and know and rest assured that the information I'm providing, it is the latest. I like to hold myself to the highest level of accountability to my community, so that way people know where the source is coming from, the dates. You can see that it is the latest. But let's go ahead and get right to it. Now, I'm just going to cover this article for you very quickly, but I'm going to share with you a lot of video footage so that way you can see it. Now, you can see here, Democratic bishop who called for Trump to be replaced delivers woke sermon on illegal immigrants, LGBT issues at a national prayer service. So this was supposed to be the prayer service, and she decided to take these stances. It says, a Democratic bishop asked President Trump to have mercy on migrants as he sat in the audience during a national prayer service on Tuesday yesterday, and the commander-in-chief was not amused. Asked by reporters about the service afterwards, and Trump responded, they could do better. Not exciting, was it? He added. And I thought this was pretty funny. They asked him what he thought about it, and he said, what did you think about it? Not very exciting, was it? The Reverend Marianne Edgar Budd, the Episcopal Bishop of D.C., who has a long history of publicly criticizing the president, called out Trump directly in her sermon as he sat in the front row of the Washington National Cathedral, asking him to go easy on illegal migrants, refugees, and members of the LGBTQ community. Wow. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, here's a picture of the bishop in the sermon. And you can see it says, There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives, Budd said from the pulpit of the famed cathedral, which is an Episcopal church and where presidents have held their inaugural faith services after every election since Ronald Reagan came into office in 1985. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, said Budd, who gave the welcome and blessing at Trump's service at the cathedral after the first inauguration back in 2017. But the vast majority of immigrants, they are not criminals, Budd said, noting that her plea was directly aimed at Trump. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities. Those children fear that their parents, they will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we will all want strangers in this land. We will all want strangers in this land. Trump remained stone-faced during the lecture and was often spotted looking down at his program. In a Wednesday morning True Social post that we just saw, the president called Budd a radical left hardline Trump hater. She brought her church into the world of politics in a very ungracious way. She was nasty in tone and not compelling or smart, Trump wrote in the post. The tension between the bishop, who has been at the church for nearly 13 years, and Trump was not new. In 2020, during the George Floyd riots, Budd said that she had given up trying to speak to Trump and proposed that the country needs to replace him. She was outraged when Trump used security to clear protests blocking the way from the White House to the church during the ongoing unrest, claiming his actions were intended to inflame violence. Everything that he has said and done is to inflame violence, she said in a Washington Post at the time. We need moral leadership, and he's done everything to divide us. Budd donated to former President Barack Obama's re-election campaign in 2012, 1 year after she was selected as Bishop of Washington. Trump announced several executive orders on the southern border on Monday, enacting a national emergency there and directing the military to get involved to block illegal migrants. The orders are intended to deport illegal migrants and keep them out of the country. Refugee settlements will also be suspended for at least 4 months. Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, said Tuesday that ICE raids are already happening across the country to deport criminal illegal migrants. And let me know in the comments if you are glad to hear this. A lot of people saying they are glad because it has been a while that we have been seeing these open border policies by the Biden administration, people pouring in, committing crimes. There are rumors about sleeper cell attacks that could be coming here. And a lot of people saying they are done with those previous policies. We saw an overwhelming majority vote in favor of Donald Trump, saying they want a secure border, they want safety in our nation, and they want to see the things that he is doing done. And we are hearing that within moments of him coming into office, signing those executive orders, the borders were closed. They were shut down. There were guards there making sure no one is crossing. The app has been shut down and the deportations are taking place. He wants to resume building the wall. We're also hearing there is going to be a U.S. Iron Dome and an assortment of efforts to make sure that we can keep Americans safe. But we have this plea coming out from this bishop that is going viral as she makes this stance for the LGBTQ plus communities and for migrants. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, after we've gone over the article now, do you think what she did was right? Yes, if you think it was. No, if you think it was not. Let me know your thoughts. And also, like I said, if you haven't done so yet, hit that like button. This is going viral. But first, let me play for you Donald Trump's response after the sermon. Then I'll go ahead and play for you the clip where you can hear what she had to say. Then we're going to look at some commentaries on this because I know that we've got a lot of people on the channel as well that are believers and that are interested in what's going on with the church and Trump and these various things. And I'd like to get people's thoughts in the comments regarding what has unfolded here, as this was supposed to be the national prayer sermon. And I think it was Ingrid had mentioned in the comments, not even one scripture referenced. It was just her talking, you'll be able to see it, and then after a while she just goes right after Trump, directly addresses him from the pulpit, and makes her plea for him to have mercy on these individuals that she is addressing. But let's go ahead and take a look at this so that way you can see it for yourself.
Mr. President, what did you think of the sermon? What did you think of the sermon? What did you think of the
What did you think of the service?
What did you think? Did you like it? Did you find it exciting? Not too exciting, was it? I didn't think it was a good service, no. Thank you very much.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
They could do much better.
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts. He said, what did you think of the service? Wasn't very exciting, was it? They could do much better. Man, so that was Donald Trump addressing that. And now we're also hearing that on Truth Social, as I mentioned, he is coming out and saying that she should give an apology. He's demanding an apology to the public for the display that she put on in front of everybody, saying that this was disrespectful, this was not appropriate, this was not right, not the right platform, not the right way to go about it. Let me know your thoughts. But let's go ahead and play this so that way you can see it for yourself. And this particular view right here coming out from Fox Live Now, I'm going to share with you. They actually show her on one side and him and his entire family sitting in the cathedral on the other side. And you can see all of their expressions and reactions as she is giving this sermon. So let's go ahead and take a look so you can see it for yourself.
Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we were all once strangers in this land. May God grant us the strength and courage to honor the dignity of every human being, to speak the truth to one another in love, and walk humbly with each other and our God for the good of all people in this nation and the world. Amen.
Instead of prayers, the president received a lecture during the national prayer service.
There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals.
Fox News contributor Joe Concha joins us now.
Joe, the president has already responded to this, saying, quote, the so-called bishop who spoke at the national prayer service on Tuesday morning was a radical left hardline Trump hater. She brought her church into the world of politics in a very ungracious way. So I guess there's a first time for everything, including being attacked at church.
Yeah, a fact check true on the president's response to what he had to sit through yesterday, along with J.D. Vance, obviously their spouses. I did get a kick out of the whole, well, illegal immigrants are the ones who clean our toilets. Huh. I don't know. That sounds pretty, you know, something to me. But look, I guess I picked the wrong week to stop sniffing glue. I mean, this woke bishop advocating for open borders, trans rights. It was just jarring to watch. And for instance, even on the trans rights issue, if you want to talk about biological men competing against biological women in sports, you're talking like an 80-20 issue now, 80 oppose, 24. So even all the things that she was advocating for, like open borders, like just let everybody in. We just had an election where I'm pretty sure a vast majority of the American people said, we don't want that anymore. We're seeing what it's doing to our country. So even her arguments were wrong. And Donald Trump was right to say what he said. But it was the way he said it this time around, where he didn't overreact too much and just said what had to be said and just left it there. I think many people are with the president on this one and against this woke bishop, who I would imagine will be co-hosting with Rachel Maddow tonight over at MSNBC.
What a stark contrast from Pastor Lorenzo Sewell at the inauguration. His prayer for not just Donald Trump, but for our nation had me wanting to run through a wall for our country. It inspired everybody. And we've had him on the show, Joe. I don't know what party he is. That topic didn't come up. What came up was his commitment to faith, his commitment to bringing that faith to the people of our country. And he did that on Monday, and yet Tuesday we get this. I want to move on to this, Joe. The Politico editor-in-chief says it is time to admit that Trump is a great president. Yes, those words just came out of Politico. Hear more. He writes, quote, he is someone with an ability to perceive opportunities that most politicians do not, and forge powerful, sustained connections with large swaths of people in ways that no contemporary can match. In other words, he is a force of history. Now, Carly, I want to check my notes on this. This was in Politico, Joe. What's going on here?
Yeah, Politico, not exactly a bastion for a conservative sentiment or just nice things to say about Republicans in general. And to see that, it was candid, and you have to appreciate that. And look, again, when you look at polls and you see that 6 in 10 Americans, 6 in 10, believe that this president will be successful. Another 6 in 10 believe that things will get better over the last 4 years and believe that things were worse over the previous 4 years. So the fact that Donald Trump came in here, winning the popular vote, the swing state, helped Republicans win back the Senate, hold the House, more governors are Republican than Democrat, 48 of 50 states went more red than blue. Yeah, that is a force of nature that can do that. In a world where you had lawfare, in a world where you had 2 assassination attempts, 2 impeachments, and a hostile media, the fact that Donald Trump came over that and you know, got over all of those hurdles, it's the greatest comeback ever.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart.
Yesterday, the presidential party and members of Congress and whatnot, the hoi polloi of Washington, for the most part, went up to Washington's National Cathedral for a national prayer event. And there at the lectern was Bishop Marianne Edgar-Bood, and she gave a sermon that, you know, it's described as a sermon, but really it was a lecture where she told the new president, go easy on migrants and refugees and members of the LGBTQ community. If you missed it, it's gotten a lot of support in some quarters and a lot of criticism. Here she is.
I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families. Some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meatpacking plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals.
Oh my God!
It's always good to learn. What was that, John, or was that Paul?
I don't know. She didn't go through scripture. Okay,
Right.
and she gave a political speech.
Absolutely.
And as someone that comes from generations of preachers, I would have walked out. I commend the president for being graceful, but I'm J.D. Vance. I'm looking crazy. Like, what is she talking about doing a sermon? I don't think it was appropriate time. If you had something to say to the president that may be a little political, if you wanted to talk about the president exercising mercy, then you could have asked for the president for a few minutes of his time and said, Mr. President, this is the issue that I feel. But don't get up there and try to preach a sermon that you cite no scripture for.
Well, she's not going to talk to him because during the George Floyd riots back in 2020, she said she'd given up trying to speak to Trump and said that he needed to be replaced. So, you know,
Look at the children. There's
she needs
children
to be
there, too, that are
replaced.
hearing this message.
well, here's the thing. You know, the president's team should have known that she could have said things that were inappropriate for, or, you know, stuff that they didn't need to hear or was not appropriate.
Just Google her.
That's all they would have to do. But instead, they put him in that position where he's in the front row.
Why was she selected? Is
She's the bishop.
rector of the...
Of that bishop, of that particular national cathedral. Here she is last night on CNN explaining what she wanted to do.
I was speaking to the president because I felt that he has this moment now where he feels charged and empowered to do what he feels called to do. And I wanted to say, you know, there is room for mercy. There's room for a broader compassion. We don't need to portray with a broad cloth in the harshest of terms some of the most vulnerable people in our society.
So Trump wants an apology, and he made that clear. He said the so-called bishop who spoke at the National Prayer Service on Tuesday morning was a radical left hardline Trump hater. She brought her church into the world of politics in a very ungracious way. She was nasty in tone and not compelling or smart. She failed to mention the large number of illegal immigrants that came into our country and killed people. Many were deposited from jails and mental institutions. It's a giant crime wave that's taking part in the USA. Apart from her inappropriate statements, the service was very boring and uninspiring. She is not very good at her job. She and her church owe the public an apology. You got this historic moment. She decides to give a lecture. A self-important person who probably had AOC jot some notes down before.
You know what? I mean, she has every right to her opinion. We all have an opinion on this issue.
Right.
But I don't like it when ministers bring politics into the pulpit and try to lecture you. So I agree with you. Maybe pull him aside after the service and say, Mr. President, may I talk to you for a little bit? There's something in my community that bothers me that I need to tell you about, and just have an adult conversation, but do it privately. Because now everyone's talking
but
about
the issue that she's asking for mercy on when it comes to the border, did you go and speak to any of the families that were killed by illegals? How about coming into New York and talk to the cops that had fire shot at them? Did you ask for mercy for the cops? I mean, that's why you don't get involved in this. If she could have said, let's bring the country together. Let's have the spirit of Christ. But she went into some political, radical leftist. Right. I don't know that church. I don't know the structure. But whoever is in command should have a look at this. Well, this is not biblical doctrine that she's speaking from the pulpit.
What denomination is this? Is it Episcopal?
I think Episcopalian, I think. Here's the thing. If she's going to be the bishop and she's going to lecture the president every time he goes to events like that, maybe it's time for the president and Washington in general to stop going to the National Cathedral.
I'm for that too.
Listen, not far from the White House is St. Matthew's, where we baptized my son Peter, or go to the Basilica at Catholic University. It's referred to as America's Catholic Church. I doubt that they would ever make anything political. And if you remember, at the inaugural, who gave one of the opening prayers? Cardinal Dolan. Yeah. Was he political? Absolutely not. He was looking to the future. So,
Donald Trump
just don't go back.
Donald Trump said he's non-denominational now, and so go to a non-denominational church. You're not going to get a lecture like that.
Well, put it this way: I wouldn't be. Why doesn't he just say, if you don't, get rid of her or change your tone? If the president of the United States decides not to go to the National Cathedral, that would be Titanic news.
It would be,
and it would really put pressure on her to start doing the whole bishop thing. I don't know what form she filled out and how many interviews she went through, but you realize for her to get that job and do that and to do that mass, how many people had to sign off on it?
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like, it's not like she's like,
oh, structure here.
I was just a hole in the schedule. I'm filling in for somebody.
She's had that job for a while. She absolutely, to your point, Ainsley, she is absolutely protected by the First Amendment.
Course.
And she can say anything she wants, but just, the Trump team probably should have looked a little into her background. Is she going to go ahead and sandbag him?
But she's supposed to be representing the great book, okay?
Right.
And nothing that she said there was representative of that. She's saying mercy, but it says nothing about obeying the laws of the land.
I think people who have her opinion are reading the whole border situation in the wrong way. It's not that he doesn't have compassion. Of course he has compassion on every single person. Everyone's God's child. It's not about that. It's about taxpayers paying so much for other people. We're pouring into the tax base.
That's right.
And they're giving that money to people who are not here legally and are not contributing. That's all it is. And the crime, the people that are murdering Lake and Riley, yes, you're right. She should have a conversation with their parents and have mercy on those families.
Which just passed. Lake and Riley, the Lake and Riley bill, and had over 40 votes in the House alone.
Right, goes back to the House today.
But she wants to be famous.
Trump.
That's why she hops on CNN. That's why she sat there. And there's video of her in 2020 with her ridiculous mask on, outdoors, with the little vent on the side, screaming about Donald Trump and what he should be, and the George Floyd riots. That's not somebody that wants to be a leader for everybody.
No, she shouldn't be in clergy.
Okay, so that's something
more Al Sharpton.
A lot of people, both sides, talking about today. I'm Steve Ducey.
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Now, after seeing all of that, hearing the commentary and all of those things, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Again, I posed the question, is what she did okay? If you think so, put yes. If what she did was not okay, put no. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But I have to say, like, a lot of the commentary afterwards that was provided by Fox News, I agreed with, and I felt like, in my personal opinion, like they had vocalized, like in her defense, which I don't agree with her whatsoever, in my personal opinion. Just to clarify, this is no longer reporting. This is just Steve Ram's opinion. So I can see the point of view that she had, and maybe that she felt that, oh, I have freedom of speech. I'm going to take this moment to go ahead and vocalize it. She felt maybe I have a moral responsibility to represent a underrepresented group, which I also disagree with. But I also felt like it was wrong, and I felt like it was an inappropriate platform. As they mentioned, this was a time for a sermon and a prayer to represent his inaugural time as president, the 47th president. If she wanted to address certain things, she could have done so in a different setting, in a different way that would have been more appropriate. I felt it was a violation of expectations. When you're expected to deliver a sermon and a prayer, you should do that. Know what your role is in that time. Now, if there is a time for politicizing across the pulpit, which most of the time there is not, but in that, if you have a sermon that is meant specifically for that, then you can vocalize that. Also, as they mentioned, risking division amongst the church. There are those that might have varying political opinions. That was not the appropriate time. And the biggest thing as well that I felt was the main issue that I felt that really shines a light on her is the political hypocrisy that I felt was from that. As she literally came out and vocalized, have mercy on people, have grace like Jesus had. Yet my question then I pose to her is this: does that apply only when it aligns with your agenda? Because is she then applying that same mercy and grace towards Trump when she is calling to have him removed, criticizing him all of these years, and demonizing Donald Trump? Yet she's asking him to have mercy on others. What about the mercy that she could show to him? Just my thought is the hypocrisy of this bishop that she is placing on Trump, yet she is not applying these same exact rules to herself. Maybe she should take a step back, look in the mirror, maybe actually say a prayer and assess herself. That's just my thought. on the situation, because I think that, I objectively, taking a step back, can see maybe how she felt like, oh, I have a moral obligation to vocalize these opinions. That's great, but do so in the appropriate setting. And also just always check yourself first. That's my thoughts. You can choose to agree or disagree with me, but I thought that that was not appropriate. I thought that it was a violation of expectations. I thought there was religious hypocrisy, and it was politicizing the pulpit in a time that was not appropriate. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if you agree or disagree. If you agree, put an A. If you disagree, put a D. I'm totally okay with people disagreeing with my opinion, but I didn't think that that was right whatsoever. And I think it just makes her look really bad. And I also think she's trying to represent a minority that has a very loud minority. I don't feel like it's underrepresented whatsoever. And I feel like the vast majority of society at this time, as we heard from the commentary, agree with Donald Trump that we want safety and security in a time of a heightened threat, where we want to make sure that everybody in the United States is safe at this time. That is the ultimate top priority. Yes, we welcome and we embrace those that need asylum and are seeking help and need assistance. Yet at the same time, we also need to assure that that process is being done correctly, and that we are protecting and helping those that live here already and are creating a safe environment that we can vet those that are entering in an appropriate way. And so I felt like, okay, if you want to vocalize your opinion, that's fine. And that's one of the great things of the freedom of speech in the United States, is you have the ability to agree or disagree. However, let's do so in a setting that is appropriate. And I felt that that was not appropriate at that time. Again, that's just the short opinion piece of Steve Ram. But I wanted to share with you guys the latest so you could see what is going on, because there was definitely a woke attack from the pulpit directed directly towards Donald Trump in what was supposed to be a prayer and a sermon that was delivered. And now Donald Trump coming out today on True Social, and he is saying, hey, you owe the American people an apology. And when he was asked what he thought about it, he said, he said, what did you think about it? He said, wasn't very exciting. Wasn't very exciting. I think we could do better. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But you guys, that is the latest. Now, there's a whole lot going on. Executive orders left and right. Also, there are updates going on with what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening with Russia and Ukraine, North Korea, South Korea, China, Taiwan, potential threats of attacks, drones. We're hearing we're going to be getting an update here very soon. Donald Trump said, it was asked while he was signing executive orders, what's going on with that? When are you going to reveal to the public the truth? He said, let's do it. Let's do it right now. Susie, which was somebody that was there, part of his staff, he said, get that report ready now. So I will keep you guys up to date. We're hearing there's going to be a lot more unfolding. Executive orders coming out left and right. The border is closing down. We are hearing that it is now the Gulf of America, not the Gulf of Mexico. And we're hearing that DEI has come to an end. He is going to fire over 1,000 people that were assigned by the Biden administration. Over 80 executive orders have been overturned by the Trump administration. He's also trying to end birthright citizenship. And there is just a slew of things going on. He said now the new U.S. policy is that there are two genders, male and female. That is what we will acknowledge. And also anybody that was relieved of duty from the military because they refused to adhere to the vaccine mandate, he said, you're going to be reinstated and you're going to get back pay for the time that you lost. So left and right, there have been so many things. I will keep you guys up to date here on the channel, but that is the latest viral moment that is happening right now, and I'll keep you up to date as more comes out. But that is the latest, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you in the next one. Thank you. Take care. God bless. This is Steve. Catch you in the next one.